Guys, behind the table episode. I'm here with RVJ. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, buddy. Long weekend ahead of me. Last bit of Labor Day. You can see I'm up here at camp. Gonna get the last bits before we get back to adulting with the kids in school and sports and all that stuff. So all's good. You're catching me early. So I like that. Morning person. So
Very good. You have, I would say, very busy month, right, ahead of you.
yeah, I mean, a short while back, I didn't know what was ahead of me. Now this month is going to be pretty busy. I mean, I think two pretty good matches in a month is, I'd say, that's a stacked month for people that aren't like Devin Larratt or something. If you're not used to traveling and pulling back to back, I mean, yeah, especially with the travel and stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it actually.
Yeah, I would think the second match would be definitely harder on you because you just had one, right? So recover how that match goes, everything else, and then
Yeah, yeah, a lot's going to depend on what happens with the first one. I don't want to say knocking off the ring rust, but just even being in a competitive setting, ready goes, the nerves, working through whatever it is to work through. And I know that this guy, the little I know about him is that he's very legit. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's always, even with preparation, when you go higher up the ladder, it presents its own set of problems, anyways.
So Nugo is like super exciting. You definitely saw his match versus Petro Markarit, right? He was
Yeah.
supposed to pull John. We're going to talk about John a little bit later, but right now, Nugo. What do you know about him? What is what is the strategy or at least approach to this match?
All right. So I got two strategies and one overlying thing going into this. And it's kind of learning from the first thing that I've got to keep in my pocket is to kind of do a little self talk, like to myself, as if I wasn't myself talking to myself, as if I was coaching one of my kids or a friend. Things always seem easier and more clear when you can talk to somebody else instead of yourself. Not go with that basic instinct of uh, maybe pulling wrong and running backwards when I might be adequately strong. I think the way I've pulled Sasho and Zareb, of course, there were other factors with maybe my shape and training, but I think that my execution was wrong, and I'll be okay with losing a match if I do what I think is the right thing to do, or at least put myself in a better stance to fight the fight and not find myself in bad positions. So that's first off. I think I'm going to be a little more okay with the idea of getting gritty with this guy. I watched where Petro was in trouble with him and where Petro did good with him. And even with a hand as good and strong and dominant as Petro, I've been a fan of him since, for quite a while. Um, that high hand with that false grip that Nudo seems to get, because he's shorter and he seems to be able to get that false grip that kind of like Travis talks about. He seems to be able to really roll sideways and make a victim of people who try to roll him. I'll test it from spots, but I think I'm going to be okay with maybe sinking the hook first and then seeing where it goes from there. I think I might really do, if you look at like, and I don't give a shit about telling people my execution. Like, is the guy going to change who he is in 3 weeks or 4 weeks? No. So it's up to him to figure it out. I think where I have a longer arm, if I hook kind of like you see Prudnik that used to back in the day, or maybe still does, when you kind of punch up and use the height that way where he would be forced to come down on me. I think I'm going to approach the match differently than I've approached other matches in the past. Where I'm not only a hand, where if I use my body lines right, I'm adequately strong enough to fight him in lanes people might not put me in the match.
Gotcha. Is this at 105 kilos?
Yeah, 105.
Is that better weight for you? What do you think?
I mean, I would say nowadays it's a better way just because of where I've landed with life. I kind of just whatever. Rolling into my mid 40s. But as I get more involved in the gym and working out, I'll find myself somewhere in the middle of like being a 220-ish guy, and if I really want to cut down to 209, or if I want to just be a very happy, 105, that's good too. But I mean, I don't think my, 195-pound days or around anymore. I'm not interested in it. I like the little bit of thickness and the extra torque.
Thickness and extra torque.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
I like the thickness, measurement wise and stuff. I've got a good base of size. If I could just cut down, trim out some of the body fat and be what I like to be as far as aesthetic and strong, then I'm happy.
So when he faced Petro, he did really well on, I think, first 2 rounds. Like, I
Yeah,
think he did extremely well. And then one of the things he said, his hand got really pumped. I think you and Petro both have huge, massive hands. So I think that will be very similar in that match. 4 rounds, is it advantage or disadvantage for you? Winning in 4 rounds, that's what you mean, like.
um, I think it could be an advantage because again, what I saw with Petro is if it was a 1 round draw tournament, you got to get to know what this guy's doing, and of course, it's not just the guy's not pulling a rabbit out of his hat. He's not pulling trickery. He's explosive. He's strong. He comes from a team that's arguably the top team in the world. If you're going to talk about top teams in the world right now, it's got to be them in Kazakhstan. Um,
Mhm.
but let's not forget USA's OG, and we still got our outliers. So, 1 round was a flash. Then the next round, Petro slowed him down and dug in a little bit. By the third round, they're in a full blown war, straight up hook war, and then Petro got the win. But each round got a little bit slower to where Petro got it. Then they got a little bit shorter on Petro's side. So it seemed that he blew up for whatever reason at a faster rate than Petro did. And I think that my endurance and my conditioning is I'll be up to snuff for that, unless there's just a big strength gap. I mean, I'm on a training routine that is fairly new to me, trying some new approaches, and it's just going to be a matter of if this is the right time to harvest the fruit. Am I going to grab things a little too green? Am I reaching a little too high too soon? I mean, I have high hopes for where these coming months and year will bring me, and from all accounts, this guy is a very high level guy. I've seen him pull other guys like Krasny and some other really good, well known Europeans that I have a lot of respect for. So I think 4 rounds will at least give me the time frame to try different things, and not be a victim and fall on my own sword 4 times in a row. That's the self talk. I don't want to fall on my own sword 4 times in a row. At least I'm gonna get in there and do some shit that's gonna be a little bit like gritty and different. If I can roll them, great. But if I can't, I'm gonna stuff it and bone line them. I'm not afraid to do it.
Yeah, so like, if I'm correct, you pulled James Wall, right, on arm guards.
Yeah,
And first round, he flash pinned you, right?
pretty kind of. Yeah, kind of a flash
Kind of.
spin.
Yeah, but then you just like you slowed him down, took control, and just probably easily dominated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I felt, and for me, that was a really good wake up call of even just execution and falling into really bad, like, advantage lines. If you're launching back and somebody's really good at that, kind of like, I call it like a European, like, false grip hook, where they sit with their palm really far forward. So if you're trying to top roll them, like, you got to top roll through the base of the hand, it's almost like impossible, especially if somebody's a little bit quicker on the reaction than you. And you
Yeah,
find yourself out here while a guy's bearing down on their shoulder and elbow and tricep, and they're driving. It's like a suicidal move. And when I figured that I couldn't stop that because his setup was so crisp and fast, that if I just punched in there, and then I felt very comfortable. But it was like night and day with execution. And of course, I'll be more of an athlete at this event than that one. I mean, Paul Maiden had a mission to get me blackout drunk the whole time I got off the plane, and low on electrolytes and low on reaction and everything. And I was like, no, 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 I have more self-control than that. In reality, no, I don't. The plan went perfect. I arm wrestled everybody in Ireland the night before. I was up till about 3 in the morning. I drank enough to kill at least 3 donkeys, and then I rolled into my match still drunk and injured and everything. So I managed to pull through with just changing my body lines, but there were some factors in that match that made it a lot more difficult.
Yeah. Listen, I just wanted to say, like, that was probably one of the best adjustments I ever seen from you. Like, because you did it instantly. Sometimes, like you say, you're gonna fall on your sword, right?
Yeah,
And you're like, this will not work. This will work. At least you're gonna try it, right?
right.
And
Yeah,
maybe Paul Maiden's approach worked.
Yeah, I think that if I could take like myself out of the match sometimes, my overthinking. I mean, I think I have a pretty good understanding of arm wrestling and what I can and can't do. It's just I'm a horrible student to myself, and it's funny. Like, even with coaching my daughter and my kids, I tell them things about training, about nutrition, about dealing with adversity in hills. The funny thing is, I talk to them exactly like I talk to myself. I beat myself up. I have a lot of a shit ton of negative self-talk. I overtrain, I undertrain, I do all the wrong things. If I could just talk to myself like I do one of my kids, I'd probably be okay. I'd probably hit another couple notches, But I'm an asshole. I'm a self-destructive human being, and I know I got so much more. I think even at 44 years old that I can bring forth in the sport. That for one reason or another, I just haven't quite got to that maybe height that I could. And I think with some of the ideology and approach, I can get there. I think I can be a better version than I've put out there in the past.
Hmm. I
And I
like
hate
that.
that. Oh, 2.0 version, 8.0. It's a joke with a lot of guys, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, sometimes there is some truth behind it. I would say, I'd like to think that there's some truth with me
We're
that,
striving to improve. We're always striving to improve, even
yeah,
when we
yeah.
fail, right? That is
I
the
think I
mission.
think even in your prime, wherever the prime may be, there's an evolution. I mean, when you look at Todd Hutchings, for instance, at his age, he's not just evolving in strength; he's evolving in angles and recognizing where he's been victimized. I think the way he pulls in the straps is a little more protected and different. He's even implementing a form of like a top roll at times. A little bit more posting and rotation, pronation. So I mean, there's a guy that's started at I want to say in his late 30s. Now he's in his late 50s, and he's finding an evolution. And a lot of that is, if you're a student and your body can hold up, or you're tiptoeing around injuries and you find new lanes. I like to believe that evolution in sports can happen, and I could be coming into the prime of my life in these years. I mean, in this sport, without major injuries, I mean, I've got lots of good years ahead of me.
I think so too. I think so
Yeah.
too. And it's good to see you in good spirits, taking a few matches in a row. I hope
Yeah.
they work out, and it's
Yeah,
Nugo
see,
is
that's
been.
the talk that I got to give myself. For a while I shied away from matches because I was like, I don't want to show my ass. I want to show a better version of myself. I want to come out. But what happens is you start analyzing the better version of yourself too much, and then a year or two goes by because you're like, oh, I got this tweak in my arm, or oh, I haven't competed. I don't feel ready. You're never going to know unless you get out there. And at the end of the day, it's just a result, and you're not going to really have any hardline data by speculation. You've got to get out there, and at the end of the day, if these next two matches don't go my way, then I focus on the match I have in February, and that's a big one as well. I'm putting my dial in on that one. So
That's a
and
big
something
one.
else in between.
It's is the match that I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good one.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
I
one.
like that one because nothing but huge respect for that guy, and world proven, world tested, and I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, like right now, I just want to ask about Nugo. Like, um, he's been like the weights that he's been lifting. It is crazy,
Who,
and
Nudo?
yeah, like I've been looking at his Instagram. He posts like every day, and like I think he's very obsessive, and he's very obsessed with this. And I'm just thinking, right, because he's lifting very hard, very close to competitions. He was just like posting 120 kilos on some side pressure move, or and I'm thinking like maybe that will play advantage to you. But again, you're gonna face like a guy who was just benching like 215 kilos, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I, I don't know. I mean, those guys apparently they know what they can do and what timeline they can do it because, you know, um, if you list the world champions that are on their team, you know, they're all of that elite caliber, at least of that core group of guys that hang out. They're all very high level and they all perform really well. And, maybe their bodies are upright or, maybe it's all the other things that team does that they can heal a lot faster than you and I. But, I know that I've heard his lifts are good. I try not to watch too much of that stuff because
Mm.
I almost want to like dispute it or find the way. Then it creeps in your head. Then you see a guy doing
Mm.
some crazy side pressure pull, and then you're afraid to meet his side pressure. You know,
Mm,
I know
I
that
think that's a
back in the
good
day when I had a
strategy.
little bit bigger balls and a little more self confidence, I used to see guys that would wrist curl like 100 kilogram dumbbells, right? 100 kilogram dumbbells, and I'm like, Jesus! I was like, I'm over here curling an 85 pound dumbbell, and just the way I would do it, like wrist curl, like it felt like a good workout for me. However, when I'd see these same guys in a tournament, I'd see these same guys end up with their wrist compromised, flopped. And I'm like, how are you curling a 100 kilogram dumbbell and your wrist is getting flopped? But me with my 85 pound dumbbell, my wrist never went backwards. So sometimes there's a smoke and mirrors, right? There's a lot of guys doing a lot of things with these lifts where even little angles of how it falls on your wrist, little deflections. A guy that does a 200-pound lift, if you did it the way you did it, like a bodybuilder, he might not even do a 75. So you got to be careful to not, let the David Blaine effect happen on this sport.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to talk about John Brzezink's match that just happened versus Leonidas. You were super vocal about Leonidas,
Yeah.
and he's gonna pull there. What did you thought about that match?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, if I'm going to call somebody out for something, I'm not going to be afraid to say things as I see it. And Leonidas is a legit, uh, I won't say technically polished, but not unpolished. People think you got to have the whole spectrum of arm wrestling. You got to be able to press, hook, everything. I mean, guys like Travis Bajan had one move and became the best on earth for a period of time. And there's a lot of arm wrestlers like that. Like, Rustin Babai would just chop people on a hook and row them and won a million championships. So he doesn't need to be super versatile. What I do know is the lane that he has looks crazy strong to the point where you've never really seen John abandon a hook, a top roll, and all his faculties were gone. Of course, John's older and has some injuries, but when John snatched up Ongarbayev in a hook, he ran through him. He snatched up Leonidas in a hook semi, right? But Leonidas kind of
Hmm.
posted up a little bit, but still he didn't like how that arm wasn't moving. So Leonidas has clearly proved that he's not just some dumb weightlifter, powerlifter crossover. He's taken that strength and power and really put it into motion in the sport. Where if you don't think he's a viable threat at this point in time, you're lying to yourself, and I'd be lying to myself to say anything else. Uh, it's also awesome, the John Brzezinski effect, that when John Brzezinski throws his shoulder in there and flop wrist presses a guy, he's a god amongst gods for versatility. When Jerry Cataret throws his shoulder in there and flop wrists a guy, the guy's a cheating son of a bitch who doesn't know how to arm wrestle and should be excommunicated from the sport. It's just weird, man. There's some biases, but
There's
I mean,
nuances. Yeah, yeah.
of course, John. If you watch John, has always had a sneaky shoulder roll. Not so much with the flop, but he semi-flop. Like he'd get in the spots even when he was a kid and just launch the shoulder on there real quick. And he's finished a lot of matches with that quick, sneaky shoulder roll. So seeing him break it out wasn't surprising, but as deep as it was surprising. That's got to be hard on the elbow and the arm.
Yeah. Like I think it was really good for the sport that John won, but Leonidas didn't lose anything. I think he gained a lot of respect, like you said, right? He showed up really good. So now he's gonna face Devin with his better arm, left arm, and Devin, like you saw Devin versus Chance, right? As much Devin thinks like Chance opened him up like twice, like fully opened him up. I think that was like I don't know how much you're gonna give when your arm is fully
Right.
extended, right? Do you see? I still see Devon as a favorite almost against
Yeah, the
anyone.
one hole I think Leonidas has, and we won't call it a hole because I think this is something that develops over time, and you can't be an arm wrestler without side pressure. I think he's so strong through the back pressure, the bicep, um, even his hand and wrist looks great. I mean, he looks great, and when you see him squeeze like a dynamometer and grippers and things like that, he's a strong guy. He doesn't seem to have a lot of that raw, like torquey side pressure. Like Chance has got a lot of good torquey side pressure, just straight
Hmm.
sweeping. I think with Devin, where Devin can resort to the King's move, unless you have a press or a lot of hard side pressure, trying to drag back on him, you might start to open yourself up and start to break your own wrist. If he can get away from that, that's where I could see him taking Devin to that red line inch away from the pad and then running out of pad because you only can back drag so much till you got to go sideways. And I see Devin as the favorite, but I definitely think that Leonidas is going to pose a big threat, and wouldn't be surprised if he steals some.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that match. I think Leonidas, it's going to be hard for him to win.
As long as there's not a crazy evolution of Devin, you know what I mean? Like if we're basing Devin on what we saw against Chance, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think he has a match at 105, right? Very soon, set in
Yeah,
November.
with Petrenko, correct?
Yeah, so he can go crazy big because
No,
then he has.
no, but I mean, these guys that know how to cut really good could still be
Oh,
probably in the 250s and get down to the 230s.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
But yeah,
I'm
that's a
just
that's a good match. And Leonidas, I mean, I did think it was a bullshit match. I did think it was a bullshit move. But hey, what did he get? Mission accomplished. He got to pull an aged man, look like a stud, probably get all that clout. He actually did everything he said that I knew he would do, and even with losing, he won.
yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, the guy's playing the game better than me. I mean, him and Ryan Bowen are playing the game fantastic. See, this is what I'm saying. I got to have some self-reflection. Maybe I just got to accept the fact that I got to be a student and change some of my stubborn ways.
Yeah. Maybe you should call out Devin also.
Yeah, well, apparently that gets you pretty far. You can get on a last-minute card and everything. I think the guy I'm pulling might be more dangerous than Devin right now. Shit.
That also might be true. That also might be true.
Might be
Yeah.
true.
The card's going to be amazing. So, you've been to Turkey, and the jet lag is still a thing, right?
Yeah.
So Dubai is also going to be hours away from you.
Yep.
Do you have strategy how to deal with that? When do you think you're going to arrive? Like Wednesday or Tuesday?
I think we'll probably get in there maybe early Thursday. I think I
Okay.
got to check the 25th. But I imagine I'll be able to rebound. I think for me the biggest thing will be just of course there'll be something, but treat myself like an athlete, making sure I'm well rested before I do these ventures, and then proper hydration, nutrition, simple things for me. I've always showed up to these events like I was going to Club Med like an asshole. So if I can actually show up to an event like an athlete, my body's not going to know what to do. I might not even need sleep. I might just sit there in my room like Van Damme did in Bloodsport, doing splits out by the beach, and nothing phases me. Now I don't know if that's going to make me win the match, but I mean, as far as my body feeling like it's not been suppressed, as long as I can keep I almost kicked that over. As long as I can keep myself somewhat trained, like treated like an athlete, I'm not gonna say I won't take an edge, but it might not be so bad. Just hydrate and eat the good food, see the good sights, and focus on the prize.
How long have you been arm wrestling now?
I started 20 years ago, so summer of 2004 is my first event.
Okay. So what is like you have achieved some great success. What is the motivation now? Because the arm wrestling scene has kind of changed, right? And
Right.
COVID messed it up, and WL going away messed everything up, and so it's kind of new world, right?
Yeah. The motivation now is, I think, as much as I was kind of maybe in denial about it, that things are in the best space they've ever been and moving to higher levels. Um, when you're not really a big part of that, you kind of want to deny it. Like, nah, the good old days, the good old days. You're like every other old salty fucker out there. You're like, yeah, the good old days. No, it's in the biggest, best spot with opportunity. And when you're not part of that opportunity, you got to ask yourself: is it a you problem? Is it a them problem? If you're actually constantly out there kicking ass and taking names, and you're somebody people want to get behind, they're only going to look past you so long until you're forced into the forefront. And I kind of got tired of being a poor representation of myself. This is kind of like a self-awareness. I kind of woke up one day and was just like tired of being who I was, and that's me in life. That's not just arm wrestling. Arm wrestling was a way that some of these negativities in the path I was on manifested, right? Maybe the attitude, maybe the lifestyle, maybe all of it. And then it was just coming out through arm wrestling because that was my outlet. So that more negative, more poor version of myself was coming out because of all the external factors in my life, and kind of just got tired of being that person and want to show that I have a lot more to me in skill and accomplishment. I think I could have a coming that's better than I've ever been. And, if you get it, it's almost like small changes equal big results. And uh, my motivation is just, I got kids now, they watch the internet and everything. And have you watched the Simone Biles thing, Becoming Simone Biles? I think any athlete should probably watch that. My wife
It's
had me watch it the other day, and here's a girl who was known as the absolute GOAT. Then she had a bad Olympics and fell into a funk. And she got to a point where she couldn't even like land a backflip. And she was doing that when she was like 10 years old. And she fell into such a funk and got trashed by the media so much that she disappeared. But she wanted to come back out after years of training and prove that that wasn't her. That wasn't how she went on that note. And then she came out, won the Olympics, dominant, goes down as a gymnastics GOAT. So I kind of found myself somewhere in that middle where kind of like landing a backflip was more difficult than it should be. And kind of want to come out and show that there's a lot more that I can bring than I've been bringing. That's my motivation. And with that kind of positivity and motivation in arm wrestling, it kind of starts reaping its own benefits in my life, right? Little motivation, it makes other things in your day-to-day life easier. Just kind of like how that negativity in my life kind of crept into me and my YouTube and everything. It depends on what devil you let in.
that's really awesome to hear. Like that's like
Yeah.
it's arm wrestling is a weird sport. We all kind of took it on to live our life through, right? We kind
Yeah.
of live our life through this sport, which is insane. You will have your ups and downs, and like you said, and I think that now that you have scheduled already, like 3 matches, right?
Yeah.
It's just a way to find yourself, where you at, what you do.
Yeah, you got
Try
to know if you're terrified of the results, you'll never really get in there. And I've always applauded the people. A lot of people, you get worried about online because so much is driven online. So much popular opinion is driven online. It's how Chance and Devin happened. Just say the right thing online and you can be an overnight sensation. Look at Hawk Tua girl. I'm still trying to find out what the big deal is with Hawk Tua. I mean, yeah, she's some little southern girl who says Hawk Tua, but I've been going down a rabbit hole of like, what was the big deal with some girl being drunk outside a bar? And you know how many girls said shit like that outside a Las Vegas bar or a Nashville bar that didn't get discovered? Now this girl has a brand and T-shirts and everything. But it's
great.
like,
Yeah.
the world moves so fast on the internet that you can get really swayed by like the popular opinion, especially when it's of yourself. So you get afraid to take matches unless they're matches that you think are, going to win. But I always applauded people that are in there, even if they lose, because I get to see the guy that hasn't lost. I get to see the guy that hasn't taken a beating. You look at Todd Hutchins and Prudnick. Their first match, Prudnick dominated him, very clean, very sweet. He ran a clinic. The next time they meet, it was the exact opposite. So both these guys have been beating at each other's hands, taking beatings. So you can never really know where you are, like I said, by speculation. If these guys are too much, I'm just gonna just keep rolling. I can't let it beat me down. Just use it as fuel and data collection. I got to just keep going. If I let the internet dictate what I do, I probably should have killed myself 10 times over. If you listen to the internet, we should all have committed suicide for something stupid.
Yeah, internet. You shouldn't read the comments. You shouldn't live here,
Yeah,
right?
rule number one, right? Don't read the comments. I try to
Don't read
engage, but boy, oh boy, some people out there, yikes.
Listen, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I'm going to see you in Dubai. I have just one question for you. What do you think? Am I going to have a rematch with Ryan Bowen before you pull him? What do you think?
I hope so, because if you guys have actual table history and probably something that Ryan Bowen would like to rectify if he can, me and him just have internet beef. And I think with his losses category for the past year and my wins category, if I find myself in a match with him, that means I fucked up real bad somewhere along the line. I hope to be in a place where I'm winning and they're like, we can't even put this match on because it'll be stupid. It doesn't even have the internet hype anymore. So if I find myself in a match with him at this point, unless he does something big in the next few months, I fucked up. And I'm in a place where I didn't want to be, but I'll be. So I'm thinking maybe you and him will be a more likely match, but that's just me having some hope.
Okay.
He don't even really talk to me anymore, so there's no more
Ryan
hype.
at 85. You're going to see him soon. You guys can,
Why, is he going to Dubai too?
No, he's going to Knuckles Up.
Ah, yes,
Oh.
yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's it. I'm going to see you on 28th of September for King of
Yeah, you going
Table.
out there, you commenting?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there working,
Awesome.
and it's
Yeah, man,
gonna be awesome.
I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you, RVJ. Thank you guys for watching. All the link, everything is in description. Go there, buy the paper. We see you there.